Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Pastrami Nation Podcast. I'm Kevin. Joining me today, Jason. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Hanging in there. Life is interesting right now, but we're making it through. We don't really have, you know, a whole lot of news or anything to talk about today. There is a couple things, but yeah, we're just really going to talk about kind of what's been going on, what we've been checking out, what we've been watching, what we've been reading, all kinds of fun stuff. Jason's going to talk a little bit about WonderCon, which is coming up this weekend at Anaheim.
Yes, Anaheim Convention Center.
Anaheim Convention Center. So make sure to go check that out this weekend. But he's going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the show. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for checking out the show. As usual, like, subscribe, share. When you share, really helps us out a lot more than you know. Introduce us to your friends. We really appreciate it. As you can tell, Christian's not here because he decided to take a vacation to the happiest place on earth while we're here doing the podcast. What's that?
What a guy.
What a guy. I'm not even mad. I'm just mad that I'm not there with him.
I would ditch for Disneyland too, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd probably go live from Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly.
But that would be pretty fun. We should do that sometime. But I hope you all are doing well out there in Facebook, YouTube land, wherever you're watching this, wherever you're listening to this. We really appreciate you, and we hope that the world hasn't completely gotten you down yet. It's been chaos, it's been crazy, but we're all still here. So there is actually a couple pieces of news I wanted to share this past week. Assassin's Creed Shadows launched, and the initial sales for that are pretty good. The reviews have been great. Everything's been great about it. People who I know who have played it absolutely love it. Jason, have you had a chance to check it out or talk to anyone who has or anything?
I've seen the previews for it and whatnot, but I haven't actually played it yet, I know my brother's big on that one, but he hasn't actually got a chance to play it yet or try it out. But it looks awesome, like from what I see. And those games, they haven't let me down yet. Like even just watching my brother play it, it's like watching a movie pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about them. There's so much going on, so much. I love a lot of obviously the history is like so fascinating. And yeah, sometimes the big kind of hoo-ha that's been going around the last few months about the game is based around having Yusaki as like one of the playable characters and stuff like that, a real person in history that actually existed. People are kind of throwing a fit about, and it's just a game, first of all. Second of all, when you're playing something like the Assassin's Creed franchise, they tend to sometimes play, they bend and kind of play with history in a really cool and interesting way. Not everything is 100% accurate to what happened, obviously, but there's enough like truth there. There's a foundational truth, and then they kind of play with that a little bit, which I really love about the games. I think that there's something to be said about them, like using these historical settings to tell a really cool story. But it's like, if I wanted to know like the complete historical accuracy of the setting, I'd go read a history book or something, right, about that setting or whatever. But that's one thing I love about the Assassin's Creed franchise, is that it does play with history in a really cool way. But unfortunately, I haven't played Shadows yet. It is almost at the top of my list of games to play. The game I've been very excited for just finally announced for the PlayStation 5. It was an Xbox exclusive when it initially released last year. But there was a lot of strong rumors and a lot of confirmation that it was coming to PlayStation 5. And that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has finally been announced for a PlayStation 5 release date. And that's coming out April 17th. So very excited for that. That game's been at the top of my list for a very long time.
That's not that far away if you think about it.
No, it's not. It's really not. I'm surprised they kind of waited till this close to the release date to actually announce the release date. But that game looks like a lot of fun. Everything I've heard about it has been excellent. Troy Baker takes on the role of Indiana Jones this time around. Troy Baker is one of my favorite voice actors. Booker DeWitt from BioShock Infinite. He also did Joel, The Last of Us. Phenomenal voice actor. And everything I've heard of his Indiana Jones voice is phenomenal. Like it sounds like Harrison Ford, or the closest you're going to get to it. So um, I'm not really a big fan of the idea of recasting him in live action, but you do a cool video game and have someone like Troy Baker do the voice. You can't ask for much more. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to check that out. Do you have any do you have any other systems or anything, or are you still
I
waiting?
have the Xbox, the newest one.
The Series X?
Yes, and I just got the Nolan hooked me up. He gave me him and his wife. They were kind enough to give me the WWE 2K25.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, the realisticness of that and the creative player. It's like it is so in depth and realistic. You can morph their face to make it look like pretty much anybody. So if there's somebody you don't like, you can literally make them in this game, and there's so many different outfits. You can bloody them, you can put them through tables, everything but kill them. You can put them through a
Yeah.
flaming table, and you don't know the. Oh my god, it takes out such frustration. Like I made one of my old principals that suspended me, and I threw
No,
him off a 16-foot steel cage through a ladder,
that's
and
funny. That's the way to do it.
it's fun. And there's just the stuff like you look at, because you can download other people's creations and the stuff that people create. Like somebody already made a pretty legit Omni Man from Invincible. I'm like,
Oh
oh my
yeah.
god! So I had to download that, and of course he can't fly in there and everything, but they did the moves closest to like how Omni Man would fight and punch, because you can do all the moves. It's so in depth. Like that takes up a lot of the time as opposed to just playing it, but it's fun to
Yeah.
see your characters there.
No, that's cool, man. That's awesome. I used to play those games back on like the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Haven't played it recently though. We used to have one of the WWE games. I think it was WWF back then, wasn't it?
It,
I
it
don't know.
was. It was
Yeah,
probably No Mercy, right? The one
probably. I think it
where four
was.
people could play at a time.
Yeah.
Yep,
The four
that's the.
people. Yeah,
Oh man, you don't know the parties we had back then. Just
yeah,
we'd go to this guy Robert's house, and and back then it was so in depth because you could have girls fighting guys, intergender matches.
yeah.
There was no limitation, because some of the girls that played with us, they wanted to create themselves in the game as a girl, and then and what's funny is because the WWE 2Ks up until this year, you couldn't do intergender matches. Like if there was a woman in there as your tag team, it would have to be a mixed tag match. She
Right.
could only fight the woman on the other team, or this time this new WWE 2K25 intergender, all bets are off. Women can fight men, beat the crap out of them. It reminds me of the old days when we used to just, because we'd all have our own created wrestler that was us, and then we just have big old parties like beating the shit out of each other in there, because it'd be four of us at a time, and it reminded me of that.
That's fun, man. That's fun. I have to check that out. We have been playing. Me and my wife have been playing Split Fiction, which is a new game that came out a couple of weeks ago. It's all out for all major systems: Xbox, PlayStation, I believe PC. This game's really fun. It's a co-op game. It's all like you have to play with somebody else. It won't even let you play solo, which is kind of
Oh,
cool.
sweet.
It's a story-based game, which is really, really fun. Narrative driven, where you're working together, obviously, to get to your common goal. No like battle royale or anything like that. It's been really, really fun. We're about probably, I'd say, halfway through. You play as two writers. You take on the roles of Mio and Zoe, who are two writers who kind of sign up for this experimentation thing that this company is doing. They're calling it the future of storytelling. And basically, they put you in the suit, this matrix-like state. They put you in the suit and they put you in this machine, and the machine's supposed to read your story and like basically bring it to life into the real world. But what happens is your characters kind of accidentally get intertwined in the same kind of bubble thing that they're in, and their stories start to merge together, and basically in their head you're playing through their stories. So one's a sci-fi writer and the other one's a fantasy writer, so you get to like experience both of their worlds as you're playing through them and try to escape each world. And it's really fun. And then you find out there's this other conspiracy going on throughout the office, why they're stealing all of your story ideas and everything like that. It's really cool. It's really fun, especially like if you're a writer. It's just really fun to kind of play it because you're playing as writers, and a lot of the writers' anxiety and stuff like that comes out through the game. But it's it's been a blast. We just the most bizarre. They have like these little side missions that you can do. Like one of them, I was a pig who farts rainbows.
Oh,
And
nice.
you're a pig that farts rainbows, and then you play as a hot dog at one point, literally a hot dog. Just the most
Like a hot dog,
random.
like Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like it's so much fun though. Like there's a rhyme and reason to it all. But yeah, it's just a really, really fun game to, hang out with a friend with, or significant other, whatever, and just play, because it's really, really, you do rely on each other to get to the next level. So it's not just you're playing two separate things. Like you have to work together in order to escape a lot of the worlds. It was really, really cool, really, really fun. And we're having a blast playing it. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's actually sold so many, it's super popular. They're actually talking about a movie already based on it, which I think would make a really, really cool movie if they put all the budget into it and made it into this really cool epic story. You could do something really, really cool with it.
Get the right director attached to it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think you can do something really cool. I think the cool thing about the game too is that, it's a fantasy, it's a version, you go into the sci-fi world and you go into the fantasy world, but like neither one seems like cheapened by the other. Like they're both like equally like fully developed, and the creators of the game really put a lot of time into each of the worlds, and you can tell that they had a lot of love for these worlds and these characters and stuff. And
sweet.
Yeah, they also made this game called It Takes Two, which was a big hit when it came out, but it's kind of the same idea. It's a co-op game. But that game's super deep, has a lot of meaning about like what it means to be a parent and divorce and all these really, really deep themes. So I highly recommend that game too if you haven't. I think that's for like everything. That's out on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. But again, that's one of those games you have to have two players to play it. So
and that's always the funnest with co-op, like to me, because we grew up playing, like all my brothers and I, we were always crowded around the Nintendo and whatnot.
100%, dude. And it's like I miss those kind of like co-op where you're working together for the goal, right? You're not fighting each other. You're not, it's not like Battle Royale or anything. You're actually just playing through the game, playing through the story. No one's trying to beat anybody, you're just trying to make it through to the end of the level.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool. So
old school Ninja Turtles arcade game.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember those days?
Yeah, 100%, dude. Those were great. And I'm still playing Cult of the Lamb. That game, incredibly fun, super addicting. Every time I come home, I have to do at least an hour or two on it, because it's just like, it's kind of like a simulator where you have to manage your cult. So you have to like feed them. You have to like, it's almost like Animal Crossing style graphics. But all these little animals and stuff. And you have to like feed your crew. You have to plant, you have to do a garden. You have to like, it's all these daily maintenance stuff you have to do. But then you go on crusades, basically through these randomly generated like dungeons, essentially, to defeat these other demons and stuff that are trying to come get your soul. Like it's crazy, it's wild, but it's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend checking that out. That's all for everything too. I'm playing it on my Switch and it's running pretty good. I had like one crash where it just wouldn't save and just completely stopped going at all. But otherwise, plays pretty good, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it if anyone's out there looking for like an Animal Crossing type Sims type of game. So, Jason, have you been watching anything lately? Reading anything? We talked about the WWE game, but
let's see, what have I been watching? I finished Invincible like last week. It was the final season finale, and damn, that was a season finale, all right. And I won't say any spoilers because I'm sure
I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh my god, yeah. But Kirkman gives a nice little nod to one of his other shows with that finale,
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, if you've watched The Walking Dead, you'll kind of get it,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
What else did I try? I tried watching that show Tracker. No.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just a little too hokey, a little too, okay. Of course, this guy knows how to figure this out. And of course, it's just, I don't know. It's about the kind of show that would be on that time slot on TV.
Yeah, isn't it CBS or something?
Yeah, it reminds me of like old, like remember when Arrow and all those came out?
Yeah,
And like when they started turning a little too hokey, it kind of that's the vibe I got. And that guy actually played Arrow in the Smallville series.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I loved Smallville. Like, oh my god, I used to watch that because for the longest time that was our only superhero flick. You know, Tom
Yeah,
Welling and Michael Rosenbaum.
yeah.
As far as that, I haven't really
Have
watched
you
it.
watched Daredevil or anything? I haven't watched Daredevil yet.
No,
I
my
haven't.
brother's been telling me to watch that. He said
Yeah,
watch Daredevil, and he told me to watch Craven. He said it was pretty good. So Craven the Hunter. So
yeah.
I got to stream that because I haven't seen that either.
I haven't watched that yet. I know that's on Netflix. So is the third Venom, which we haven't seen yet either.
Oh, don't waste your time on that one.
Yeah, I know.
I wasted the $10 at the theater, and boy, howdy.
Yeah, no, I
I like the
no,
first
thank
two
you.
Venoms, but this third one, oh my god.
Yeah, I might have to. I don't know. We might watch it just to have a bad movie night.
Oh, there you go. If you're looking for a bad
Which is
movie,
why
that's
not.
your show.
Yeah, no, we're still getting through Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus.
I need
It's
to
really
watch
good
that.
so far. Yeah, it's really good so far. We still have, I think we have like 3 episodes left. I don't know, but we've been wanting to check that out. Daredevil is on the list as well. There's a bunch of shows out right now that I need to watch.
Same.
Yeah, me and my wife are watching Resident Alien right now on Netflix, which is great so far. We're still getting through the first season, but life's busy. You know, stuff happens.
Right.
We can't watch it completely. What's that?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. So lately, I haven't even been really watching a whole lot of TV or anything. Just been playing games when I can. I've been reading a lot, and there's a couple new albums actually I kind of wanted to talk about that I've been very, very excited about, and that have been kind of earworms for me. So there's this band, Coheed and Cambria. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah.
But they came out with a new album called Father of Make Believe, which is kind of so. Coheed and Cambria is a funny band because I don't know if anyone watching or anything, but I'm pretty sure if you know Coheed and Cambria is like, like every single one of their albums are one chapter in a bigger story. Like they're every single one of their albums, except for one, is a concept album, and it all kind of adds to this bigger sci-fi epic. It's sci-fi meets like Lord of the Rings meets the Dark Tower like story that's going on in space. But their albums are great. This one is really good. This one kind of shows them just kind of firing on all cylinders. Some of it's super, like they probably have like one of their most radio friendly hits on this one, but it totally deserves it. They're always hitting it out of the park. Super hardcore. Coheed, they tend to kind of fluctuate between kind of emo, pop punk, and like metal and hardcore, which is one thing I love about them. Claudia Sanchez has this voice that's just super, super low pitched. It's kind of a lot of people kind of call Coheed and Cambria kind of the next Rush, right? With like the way that his vocals are and stuff. But anyways, this album kind of takes the story even further. Highly recommend people check out Coheed and Cambria. They're not just another kind of pop punk emo type band. There's a lot of depth to them, a lot of levels to their music and what they're singing about and stuff like that. They have a comic book series out to kind of explain the story a little bit more. I couldn't really explain the full story even if I wanted to right now because it's so convoluted, so complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces. But if anyone is interested in listening to Coheed and Cambria, I highly recommend, obviously, starting at the very beginning when they're kind of introduced with Second Stage Turbine Blade, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's just a fantastic album. But their second album, which is, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I just totally blanked out on what the name is. In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, that album is freaking, that album is like one of my quintessential albums of like the 2000s. Like it really exemplifies who Coheed and Cambria is and really shows kind of their evolution from their first to like where they're at now. But this album, some of my favorite songs, you got Blood Red Summer, you got Favorite House Atlantic, you have all these great songs. But they're like 10 albums in, I think. They're like 10 albums in, and they're still telling this epic story, which just kind of gets more interesting as the years pass. And I just think it's really cool that a band is able to maintain that throughout their whole career, like create this whole narrative and everything like that. Yeah, I'm really digging their new album, Father of Make Believe. Kind of poppy, but really fun. I really, really enjoy the hell out of that album. There's another album, one of my favorite bands, A Day to Remember, came out with a surprise album a couple days ago. We knew it was coming out. It was announced like a month ago, so no one really knew it existed. Now, A Day to Remember is quintessential like pop punk. It's just a lot of fun. This album specifically, very pop punk, very fun. Absolutely love it. Reminds me of like early 2000s, like mid 2000s, like Fall Out Boy and stuff like that. Like
That's awesome.
it's just a little bit more hardcore than that. Like Day to Remember is another one of those bands that really treads the line between like hardcore and like pop punk. Like they kind of sit somewhere in between where like some of their songs are like super heavy, like just a lot of screaming, a lot of screamo type stuff. But then some of their songs are super poppy and like super fun. And again, this is along with Coheed, I think this album has one of their also like most radio friendly hits. But they released this album on Filled by Ramen, which is one of those early 2000 labels that did like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, all these bands that were kind of big at the time. Filled by Ramen was like the label to go on to. So they released this new album on that label. And it sounds, some of the songs do sound like Fall Out Boy. Like you can hear the influences and the all of the, it just makes sense to make that comparison because some of the songs remind me of it. But the album's called Big Ol' Album Part 1, so we're going to be getting a Part 2. The cover art is really cool because they have it's almost like characters of people on the cover art, and like people are like, and supposedly that's everybody who guests on the album. So it's really fun. Fans are trying to figure out like who's who in the album cover. So you have people from like Newfound Glory, Fall Out Boy, all these bands coming together to help create this album. And it's just it came out on Friday, this past Friday, and it's just all I've been listening to like nonstop. It's so good. They have one song on there called LeBron, which is one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's super. Yeah, it's one of their singles, and it's really good. And if there's a certain audience out there who loves A Day to Remember who are complaining about how it's just super poppy and it's not their normal stuff, and it's not. It's different. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's really good. It's they call it LeBron, but it's like, no matter how good you are, essentially, is kind of the whole idea behind the song is no matter how good you are, people are still going to find something to bitch about, right? Like They're always going to think about your misses and not how hard you hit. You know what I mean? Like they're always going to be pushing, bringing you down somehow, even though you succeed in this thing. There's always going to be the haters out there.
Yep. They hate success.
They hate success. And that's one thing I love about the song. It's an incredible song. It's great. It's fun. Highly recommend Day to Remember too. If you guys just want some old fashioned kind of pop punk, screamo kind of music, it's really, really, really good. So, just been listening to those a lot while I'm working, stuff like that. And it's been nice. It's been a nice couple of weeks for music. I've really, really, really enjoyed everything that has come out over the past few weeks.
I've been listening to some old Hollywood Undead stuff like from years ago.
The first album was good. The first album was
Dreaming. That's the song right there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, those guys kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. But they kind of felt like the next evolution. It sounds weird because it's not even the same type of music, but they reminded me of like the next evolution of like ICP, right? Insane Clown Posse. So they were kind of like that kind of like, with like their style and their fans and stuff like that reminded me like of the next version of like Juggalos in a play. And I thought that's where they were headed. But I'm not even gonna lie. I've listened to ICP. I actually enjoy some ICP. Not gonna lie. Back when they first came out in the 90s, I wasn't a fan per se, but I would listen to them. And some of their stuff's a little, it's a little pushes the boundaries as far as they can go. But that's okay. But they're fun though.
You know what I'm waiting for? Because I'm a big Eminem fan. I'm waiting for M to finally put out his diss track, because I used to listen to a lot of Tom McDonald stuff. That white guy with the dreadlocks. Great rapper, but I feel like he's fallen off in recent years once he started doing all that Trumpy Make America Great stuff. Like I feel like his talent level just got stupider, and he started having different guests. And well, he did a song with Roseanne Barr.
Oh, I heard that. Okay, so
It,
yeah,
it
I
was the
heard that.
stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like she's in there trying to rap, and it's the hook to it is just "We won, you lost," and he put it out like right after Trump won, right? And it's just
Jesus.
like this most ridiculous thing. Well, they both take jabs at Eminem, but him and his wife did that like a couple weeks before, like when Eminem was up there on stage with Obama. Then they
Mhm.
started putting out disses where they were singing tracks over Eminem beats. So, and M's only reply to that was, to all that, all I got to say is winter's coming, which is a Game of Thrones reference, which means
Right.
it's not going to be good. So I'm waiting for that because, like, damn.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm curious what he's gonna come out with because
Because usually M just destroys anybody who uh, goes again. And there's been a lot of other people trying to diss him. A lot of them are just like no names that just kind of want him to fire back because once he fires back, that makes them famous. Because
exactly.
but I think Tom McDonald it's a little different because Tom had purchased a beat from Eminem for that song. What was it? It was the one where he was thanking Eminem, like
Oh
basically.
yeah.
And then, so I'm interested to see how this thing plays out.
It'll be fun to see. I'm very, very curious how that's going to play out. Oh, one more piece of video game news I wanted to bring up. We got official announcement of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 are
Yes.
going to be releasing the remastered. Tony Hawk Skater 1 and 2, I thought they did a really, really good job with. Very, very excited for this. This one supposed to release July 11th this year. Very, very excited for this one. Tony Hawk games always just so much fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
Absolutely
Speaking of
love them.
Tony Hawk, I don't know if you've seen the Cobra Kai series, but you've seen grown up
I haven't
Ralph.
finished it yet. Haven't finished it.
You've seen adult Ralph Macchio on there though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, him and Tony Hawk, I've been seeing the memes versus separated at birth because he does
Oh
look like
yeah.
they do look like they'd be brothers.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
But Tony Hawk, yeah, it's one of my favorites. Like
It's
he's that
great.
game, just
The
Tony Hawk
soundtracks too,
himself.
man.
Like remember, was it Lords of Dogtown where
Yeah,
he's in that movie as that astronaut?
yeah,
Remember?
yeah. I remember that. Yeah, no, he's great, and the games were great. I love the soundtracks, especially to the
Yep.
games. Like,
Oh my God.
hopefully they keep them. I just read an article this morning that Tony Hawk pressured Activision, or I think it's Activision that's doing this one. Neversoft, sorry, Neversoft. He pressured them to keep Bam Margera in because they wanted to take him out. But he basically said, "Well, there's no Tony Hawk 3. I think he was in without Bam. So we either do this or we don't do it at all." I think that's really cool. I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. I know Bam was going through a lot of stuff. He has been going through a lot of stuff for a long time. And I just think it's great that Tony Hawk was able to stand up for him and give him another chance. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's such a cool guy. I
Yeah.
watched. I was watching. I don't know if you watched Celebrity IOU with the Property Brothers.
No,
Where
I haven't. No.
there's always a celebrity on there that gets the Property Brothers to help them, and they help them fix up somebody's house, like that's somebody important in their life. Like Tony Hawk, it was one of his longtime friends, and one of the guys that works with him, like his uh,
Yeah.
the guy who does like the designs and stuff.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of his, but he's like, this guy never has time for himself or anything. And he's got this garage in his backyard that's all unfinished and everything. So Tony Hawk sent this guy on like a vacation for like 2 weeks, and he's helping the Property Brothers like basically demo this thing and then making it like this guy's own personalized
That's cool.
crib where like the panels come down where the guy can work on skateboards here, or he can do his editing over here. And it's just, and it was badass. I'm like, damn, what a cool guy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that game. Like I said, it's supposed to come out this summer. So hopefully it does stick to that date. Very, very excited to play it again. Tony Hawk 3 and 4. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything else specifically we're going to talk about. I do have a couple book recommendations because I've been reading a lot lately. It's just kind of been my comfort thing lately. I don't know why. It helps me go to sleep at night. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Well, I've told you before, I've gotten into collecting Pokemon cards, right?
Yeah.
Well, Pokemon and I've started collecting the Magic the Gathering cards, which is that game that everybody would always be
Yeah.
playing at the comic store back in the 90s. Still don't have a clue how to play it, but damn, that art is beautiful.
Hmm.
And I've got this thing where I've been buying like packs every other day, and I save them till the end of the night, so I got something to look forward to. Open up a couple Pokemon, open up a couple Magic cards,
Yeah.
and just pulling some rare ones, but just seeing how crazy this thing has gotten with like trading card games. It's like I was at Best Buy the other day and I was buying some Magic, and then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I used some of these to build this deck," and then I was playing this. And I'm thinking, well, if this guy only knew I didn't have a clue how to play this game, I'm just a collector that collects it. But just seeing people that into the sport, the hobby of it.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That's good. It's good to keep yourself occupied with something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. That's cool. So, I have two books that I want to recommend. Both, actually, they're both, let's see, OG, and there's a sequel to it as well. So these books are a little bit old, well, older. I mean, one came out in 2020 and one came out in 2022. The author just came out with a new book that I'm very, very excited to get. It has nothing to do with this series, but this series has been kind of kept me occupied for a few nights, and I absolutely love them. So I'm going to show this one's called Hollow Kingdom. So basically this book, it's basically described as The Secret Lives of Pets meets The Walking Dead, right? Which is an apt description for it. Basically the plot of the first book is it focuses around it's based in Seattle, focuses around a virus that goes around and turns humans into zombies. It's told from the perspective of a domesticated crow who can talk, and his name is ST, which is short for his owner was a alcoholic, and he would call him shit turd, but
Nice.
but he went with the name ST. Anyways, the book's told from his perspective, and since he was raised the way he was, he has a very, very foul mouth, so he's a very foul mouthed talking crow. And basically the first book is him and his the other dog that he was a dog that the owner had as well. His name is Dennis. He's this basset hound, a really kind of dopey little dog, and he basically has to take Dennis. He's basically trying to get Dennis to safety through Seattle without getting eaten by zombies. And basically they find out that they're kind of the chosen ones to go around. And basically when the apocalypse happened and all these people turned into zombies, a lot of the people were out and about, and a lot of people's pets were locked inside their houses, right? So like their job, they find it's kind of their mission to go around the city and help pets who were abandoned locked inside their house, starving to death, things like that, help them escape. Basically, like they have to do all these really clever things to get them out of the house and stuff. Really, really fun story. Really, really cool perspective on the apocalypse, something like I've never seen before. And it's very funny. It's very sad too. Like there's some things that happen that I was not expecting to be emotionally affected by. Some really, really interesting for insight into like nature and like how important it really is and stuff like that. One thing I really love about it is like in the book, he describes these different ways of that nature communicates with each other's, right? Like, so you have this thing called aura, which is how trees and birds communicate with each other. And then you have this thing called web, which is kind of in the ground. So it's like all these animals are able to communicate through web essentially. And then you have echo, which is how the ocean creatures communicate, but they all communicate through these really, really intricate and really, really cool ways of communication. So you learn that through the first book. There's a sequel. It's called Feral Creatures. So this is a slight spoiler alert. So if you're planning on reading Hollow Kingdom, not a spoiler for the story as much as what happens at the very end is kind of this cool like ooh ah moment. So throughout Hollow Kingdom, ST is kind of, he loves humans. He calls them mofos. We call them mofos because his owner used to call them mofos. He used to say, this mofo did this mofo did that. Basically, and he's convinced that all the humans are dead. At the very, very end of Hollow Kingdom, you find that there's a baby was born in Alaska that completely, their parents abandoned them, hopefully that they wouldn't be affected by the virus, and put her in the care of these owls, essentially. That happens at the end of Hollow Kingdom. At the beginning of Feral Creatures, ST, our bird, he is basically taking care of that child now, and he is kind of growing with her and teaching her the ways of being. He's keeping her alive. He's doing all these things. But he wants to bring her back to Seattle, where they're a little bit safer, he feels like. But turns out Seattle has turned into, it's kind of like The Last of Us. Like there's all these weird mutated human creatures and like all this weird stuff going on. So it's basically him and the girl within the first couple of chapters. She's 13. She gets to be 13 years old. So it's basically him and this girl, and she's very confused about who she is. Like she's raised by crows. She thinks she's a crow, but he's trying to really be like, no, you're a human. Like this is what humans are. But the more she sees what's left of humanity and these horrible, disgusting creatures, she starts to think that she's kind of this horrible, disgusting thing too. Very, very emotional, kind of about identity, and what it means to be human, and what it means to be, to kind of choose who you are and stuff like that, which I think is a great message. And it's just a really, really good series, really, really fun, really, really funny. Highly, highly, highly recommend reading both of them if you get a chance. They're easy reads. They're not very long. They're really, really funny, really smart. Absolutely. The books are by Kara Jane Buxton there. So definitely check these out. Highly, highly recommend checking these out. Right now I'm reading this one called Between Two Fires, which is a medieval horror story. It just sounded so cool. I guess that book came out in the early 2000s. A lot of people have been raving about it. But it's got to do with like knights, and like basically there's a battle between heaven and hell, essentially. And there's one knight who's kind of he's kind of transporting this girl who might be a witch, or she might just, she's very clairvoyant. She sees angels and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more on the serious horror side, but it's a lot of fun. I'm having a really, really fun time reading that one. So yeah, definitely check out those books if you guys are into reading. There's a lot of good stuff out there, man. If you like want to read something, there's a lot of really, really cool things out there. So definitely check that stuff out. Yeah, absolutely.
Always some good reads. I want to like actually go back and get like the Invincible Omnibus graphic, like the collected, because I've read stories here and there, but I kind of want to read all the way through. Like I'm a big graphic novel guy, and I used to do it a lot, but now that they got them in the big collected versions, I need to just do that.
It makes it easier.
Well, that, and I was telling one of our regulars on the podcast, Arturo, I met up with him, had lunch with him over the weekend. Cool guy. Nice. But I told him, because he hadn't read The Last Ronin yet. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, really?
That is like, to me, that was one of the best comic stories that like I've read in like this century, I think, if not 100%.
100%. I love The Last Ronin. I honestly hadn't really read a whole lot of Ninja Turtles like recently. But I had to read that one because I was like a must, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, Last Ronin, definitely go check out Last Ronin if y'all are looking to read something cool. Also, I got a review coming up for this guy, which I'll be posting in a little while. Awesome. This is just a small part of it.
That's badass. Hey, there's Arturo now. What's up, Arturo?
Arturo, what's going on, man?
Go read The Last Ronin, Arturo.
Yeah, you better. So here's the orca itself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, this guy's really cool. So there'll be a review on it on Pastrami Nation soon. Very, very excited to review this. It was actually a really cool build. It was actually more intense than I thought it was going to be, more in depth than I thought it was going to be.
A lot of inner stuff.
A lot of inner stuff, like a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be too. Wasn't really expecting it. I hadn't seen a display model, so I wasn't sure. But most of the fun was in the boat itself. Like the shark was really cool to build. I've never built a Lego shark before, so it was actually really, really fun to build.
That's a pretty damn good Lego shark too.
Very good Lego shark. Yeah, like they did a really, really good job. They even have the little beady eyes.
Oh yeah.
It looks fantastic. But like when you put it all, you can display it together on this really cool thing, or you can display it separately. This stand has a place for all the it comes with 3 minifigs too. So
Oh,
you can either
sweet.
display them on here with the minifigs, or you can do it as like the diorama set that it comes with. But um,
That's so cool. I haven't been to a Lego store in a minute, you know.
yeah,
I
neither have
need
I.
I want to see. I don't know if that that riverboat steamer one is out yet. I'd like to see that thing on display.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I did pick this up the other day. I want to build this, the Leonardo's flying machine.
Oh, sweet.
Been meaning to pick it up. It's $50, not bad
Not bad, no.
for what you get. So I'll be building that as well pretty soon. But
That's awesome.
yeah, man, it's gonna be exciting times. Um, Anyways, thank you all for checking out the show. Arturo, nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by and joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for being here. As usual, check out pastramination.com or check out Pastrami Nation on all socials. You check it out on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Make sure to come say hi, come check it out. We also have some really cool. I was at the grand opening of Geek Easy Cafe.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. How was that?
Yeah, this one, it was cool. Tiny little place in Portland, but we had a blast. It was really cool. It was a cool ceremony. All kinds of really, really cool stuff. We also checked out this horror themed merchandise or movie and bookstore in downtown Portland called Midslumber Media. If you guys are ever in town, definitely go check it out, especially if you love horror. Small place, but just so much horror DVDs, VHS, Blu-rays, records, like albums of like horror movie soundtracks, books, horror movie books, or just horror books, not horror movie books, horror books, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. So definitely go check that out. Highly recommend it. If you're ever in town or if you live in Portland, don't miss that, because it's a really cool place, local business, small business. And yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, really, really cool.
It is all the cool stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Portland. Portland's
Not
great.
to brag or anything, but
not to brag. Love Portland. But anyways, thank you all for joining us tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Y'all have a good night, and y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We will see you guys next time, and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.